Why am I an estate planning attorney? I get that question all the time, and I'm happy to answer it. And so I figured I'd come on here and just share with you all why I am an estate planning attorney, why I think estate planning is so important and so critical to the needs of your family and yourself in the event of an incapacitation or death. And so I want to talk to you today a little bit about that. My name is Leon Jones Jr. I'm an estate planning and business attorney, helping protecting families and businesses the assets that they've built along the way. So why am I an estate planning attorney? Well, there are three primary reasons why I am an estate planning attorney. Number one, most people in our communities don't plan properly. That's the first reason why. Number two, most people in any community, in our communities, are afraid to talk about death. And then number three, most people are afraid that they don't have enough to create an estate plan. So let's talk about each of those points. Most people in our communities don't plan properly. You know, the basics of an estate plan is a will, a trust, a healthcare directive, and a power of attorney. And so I'll go through each of those. Basically, what a will does is it tells the people that you leave behind what it is that you want to see happen when you are gone. That's basically all a will does. It says, hey, I have X property on Y street that I want to go to A person. I have, Z property on C street that I want to go to B person. I have, four cars and I want them to go to these four people. That's what a will does. A will tells the people who are left behind how you want your estate divided. A will does not keep you out of court. Okay. And so you can't avoid going to court just because you have a will. It's good to have a will, and that's a start. But there are other mechanisms to use to avoid going to court and to avoid probate. Not for this video. We'll talk about that later. So number one, you need to have a will. Number two, a trust. I just spoke about those assets, right? And so if you have property, if you have vehicles, if you have other tangible assets that you want to have distributed upon your death, then that trust can do so. And we're not going to talk about how to set up a trust in this video, but there are ways to set up that trust where you can be the trustee, and it could be what is called a revocable living trust while you're still alive, and it could be up for your benefit, and you the beneficiary, you the trustee, you the grantor, and it could be all of your assets that you have today are inside of that trust for your benefit. And then once you pass away, that trust, there could be another trust that's created automatically, and those assets transferred there to help out your heirs. Again, not for this video. This video is why I am an estate planning attorney, and just kind of the basics on what made me become a estate planning attorney. And so, like I said, the basics of an estate plan are a will, we talked about that, a trust, and then healthcare directive. There are so many people who have incapacities these days, whether that be they had a stroke, or there was something that went wrong in a surgery, or they had an accident, whether it's a vehicle accident or a slip and fall at work, or whatever the case may be. So many people become incapacitated. And through modern technology and medicine, we are living longer. But because we're living longer these days, we are more prone to become incapacitated before we pass away. And so a healthcare directive can tell the people that we love, hey, here's where I want to go if I need to go to rehab and I'm unconscious. Here's where I want to, be if I can't take care of myself, but I'm still here and I can kind of function, but I can't do everything. Here's what I like to eat. Here's where I want to live. Here's where my bank account is. Here are the things that I have. Here's the things that I want to do. Here's if I'm in the hospital and I'm not breathing for this long, or there's no brain function, here's what I want you to do. So you can put that healthcare directive in place so that your loved ones, if something bad were to happen, won't be scrambling trying to figure out, well, what did they say? Well, last year they told me this, or 2 years ago they told me this, or last week we were talking about this. All of that spelled out in the healthcare directive. You have it right there in front of you. You let people know where it is, and in the event of an incapacitation, everything's taken care of. That brings us to the fourth element of an estate plan, a power of attorney. You can have a financial power of attorney, and you can have a power of attorney for the limited purposes of just saying, hey, here's where I want you to do for me if I become incapacitated. Or here's how you can help me if I become incapacitated. So you put that power of attorney in place, and the people who are named as the sort of leaders, if you will, and there's some technical names to it, but the people who are named in the power of attorney that can act on your behalf, they will know what to do because you've directed them within the power of attorney. Here are my bank accounts. You know, you can hear my property, sell this piece of property to pay for these legal bills or these medical bills or whatever the case may be. And so you have that in place so that, again, your loved ones won't be scrambling. If you become incapacitated, they can get right to the point and they can properly take care of themselves and other family members while they're trying to take care of you. So those are the 4 elements. So then the next reason why I became an estate planning attorney is because people don't like to talk about death, but death is definitely a part of life. And if we don't talk about the fact that we all are, as we are born, we're born dying, right? And when we're born, the moment we take that first breath, it gets us closer to the last breath. We want to live a long life. We want to be here for a long time. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, longevity does have its place, but we know we're not going to be here forever. And so we need to start thinking about what's going to happen when I'm not here to take care of the people who are left behind. And that really does show love. That shows them that you love them. And that's why I became an estate planning attorney, because I, first of all, love people. I want to make sure that people in all communities are taken care of. When I grew up in my community, most people that I knew, or most people that my parents knew when I was growing up, did not have an estate plan. They thought they didn't have enough assets. They thought they didn't have enough tangible stuff. And so they didn't plan for it. But your estate plan can be as simply as taking out a $20,000 life insurance just to make sure your loved ones don't have to scramble to pay for your funeral. That can be your estate plan. You know, so it can be as simple as that. It can be as simple as putting something in place, saying, hey, here's a little piece of money. You can bury me with this. You can pay off some of my debts. And that's enough to take the grieving process, to ratchet down that grieving process. So you're grieving your loss, but they're also dealing with the financial ramifications. And so that's the second reason I became an estate planning attorney. And then the third reason that I became an estate planning attorney is because most people are literally afraid that they don't have enough. And so they put their head in the sand, they bury themselves away from all of the realities, and they don't ever think about it. So one of the things that we do in my practice is we do what is called a wealth assessment, basically a wealth inventory. And so we inventory everything you have. And when I use that term wealth, it doesn't mean that you have $100 million sitting in the bank somewhere or assets. It just means that, hey, you own a house, you own a little piece of land, you inherited some land down in the southern part of the state when you were 21, and you've had that land and you've been paying taxes on it. That's an estate. And so that's why I became, because I want to educate people as to why it's so important to put these mechanisms in place while you're still here so that your loved ones won't have to deal with it when you're not. So those are my reasons for becoming an estate planning attorney. I hope it helped someone today. If you have any questions, please click the button, book a call with our team, and we can answer those questions. If you like what I had to say, hit the like button, and please subscribe to my channel. I'd love for you to come back every week, learn more and more about what I'm doing so I can help you as well. Thank you.